Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be analyzing the first game of my new viewer game analysis series for my chess.com blog. But before I get into that, I'd like to make a very important announcement, which is that chess.com has officially awarded me the status of top blogger on chess.com. And what does that mean? That means my blogs are officially recognized by chess.com and they appear on the home screen when you go to chess.com/blogs. So thank you guys so much for your support. I couldn't have made it without you guys. And if you have some extra time after this video, make sure to go to my blog at chess.com/blog/EnergeticHay to check out some of my newest blog posts. Now let's take a look at the first game of my new viewer game analysis series. This game was submitted by blackfirestorm. She is playing against a much higher rated player who goes by the username of hoops_59. And this game started off with e4 c5, which is the Sicilian defense. Now here there are many standard moves such as knight f3, which is the open Sicilian. Then there is knight c3, which is called the closed Sicilian. And then there's also d4, which can transpose to a couple of things. But most notably, after c takes d4, c3, this is known as the Smith-Morra Gambit. And all three of these openings are very popular and well known. However, in this game, blackfirestorm's opponent plays d3, which definitely isn't a bad move, but you can't say that it's the best move in this position. So I would describe it as an unorthodox way of approaching the Sicilian. And why might someone play d3 in this position? Well, maybe they're just looking to get out of opening theory. They don't want to play against someone who's memorized a line that's 20 moves long. Or maybe they just want to play a different type of position. It all depends. But nevertheless, d3 is a perfectly fine move, and blackfirestorm responds with knight c6, which is also very good. Now here white goes c3, which is not exactly the best move in conjunction with d3, because a lot of the times when you play c3, your idea is to play d4. But now that you've already played d3 on move 2, that kind of seems like a waste of time. So c3 is not the best move, and here I believe blackfirestorm missed a chance to capitalize on this mistake. So she played d6, which is a perfectly normal move, and now the position is about equal. But here I think blackfirestorm should have tried d5, which is a very sharp striking move in the center. And after e takes d5, queen takes d5, the point here is that while you don't necessarily want your queen to be so exposed at the very beginning of the game, here white can't really take advantage of the queen's exposed position because the knight cannot go to c3 to attack the queen because there's a pawn there. So here the queen would actually be very strong, and this would resemble an Alapin where instead of the pawn being on d4, the pawn's actually on d3. So this is actually pretty good for black. But with that being said, d6 is also a very good move, and we get a spree of some very regular moves here: knight e2, knight f6, knight g3, e6, bishop e2, bishop e7, and both sides castle. Now here, white has a couple different ways to approach the position, but they chose f4, which is obviously a very intuitive idea. White's idea in many Sicilians like this is to simply attack on the king side, and what better way to do that than start with f4? So here, I feel like blackfirestorm again played a very normal move, which is a6. She's preparing b5 for a queenside counterattack, but here again I feel like d5 might have been a better option, just because principally when your opponent is attacking you on a wing, striking back in the center is definitely the most effective way to defend. So here I feel like after d5, even if white goes e5, knight d7, d4, maybe now you can think about counterattacking on the queen side. And I think this position is totally fine for black. So in the game, a6 was played, then bishop e3, b5, knight d2, and e5. So here I believe this was also a mistake by blackfirestorm. All of the other moves seem to be pretty normal, but here I felt like like I said before, you want to kind of open up the center when your opponent's attacking you on a wing. And in this case, it's actually kind of closing down the center, as we'll see in the game. So white plays f5, which is a good move, because here white has created a pawn chain that is pointing directly towards black's king, and this is very dangerous because the squares around black's king are now controlled by the white pawns. d5 is a very good move because, Black Firestorm is now striking back in the center. After rook c1, d4 was played, and here I believe this was the most significant mistake in the game, which is Black Firestorm is closing down the center instead of playing maybe d takes e4 or just maintaining the pressure, maintaining the tension in the center. So after d4, white takes, and here I believe knight takes d4, again just trying to keep the center open. Obviously I haven't looked like 20 moves down the line to see if pawn takes or knight takes is best, but just principally, if you follow some simple principles, knight takes d4 would be better here, just because you are keeping the center as open as possible. And maybe if your bishop gets onto this diagonal, you could even think about c4 ideas. So knight takes d4 might have been better there. And then here, Black Firestorm cracks under the pressure, plays knight b4, which unfortunately is a blunder, and our opponent takes advantage of it. But before we look at how the game basically ended, let's see what might have happened if queen d6 was played, which I believe is a better move because black is developing the queen and protecting the knight. So play might continue knight h5, with the idea being that white wants to push this g-pawn, but the knight's in the way. So a logical way to solve that problem is to trade these knights. So after takes, knight b4, I believe maybe white just goes queen b3 here, and it's about equal. White's probably slightly better because of the space advantage, but there's definitely still a very interesting game ahead of us. So for example, black might try bishop g5 here, activating the bishop, and here, personally, I might even take black just because of this bishop in this position. But yeah, so that would have been a better way to continue. But unfortunately, Black Firestorm played knight b4, which obviously is going after the a2 pawn. But what she missed is after a3, the knight can't go back. So now the knight is simply trapped on a2. And after this, there was some futile resistance, but overall white converted this pretty well. So let's just quickly see how the game ended. So here, one last thing to note is that even when you are losing, even when you are down a piece, you shouldn't give up because there are definitely ways for your opponent to mess up, especially in a quick game. You see both players only have 4 minutes here, so it's not exactly like each player has 60 minutes to think each move through. They could make a mistake. So here, the problem with what Black Firestorm played is that it trades a bunch of pieces, and when you're down material, or if you're worse, you mostly don't want to trade pieces because it makes the conversion for your opponent much easier. Because just think about it logically. If your opponent has to think about 10 pieces that could potentially wreak havoc in his position, versus if they only had to think about 3, well, obviously one is going to be simpler than the other. So here, after bishop c5, white converts it relatively easily. We see some trades. The queens are traded. White doubles the rooks, invades the position on the 7th rank. And the game is basically over. Some dice play here at the end where white brings another piece into the game, and here is a nice mating net. So overall, that was a relatively close game between these two players with 500 rating difference. And actually, especially at the beginning, it wasn't the higher rated player that was doing better. I would definitely argue that black was doing better here, but after a couple regular moves versus better moves or best moves, black started to lose the advantage, and then white capitalized when black made an unfortunate blunder with knight b4. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked my analysis of this game, make sure to go check out my blog at chess.com/blog/EnergeticHay. And also please, if you'd like to, subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.